Watts and Shanann Watts at the moment. But the longer this goes on, just so much of it doesn't add up. None of it adds up. I can't quite put my finger on it right now, but this whole thing just doesn't add up. But I'm just wondering with Chris Watts just wanted his cake and eat it. I think he's lying about how he feels about Shanann Watts. I don't think he hated her, and as much as they say maybe he wanted a divorce, I don't think that happened either. I think that's just what he said because it made it look, oh, our relationship was in turmoil, so they'll go, oh, well, it might give him a slight one little point the other way is the fact that a reason why he did it, because don't forget they have to have reasons why they do these things. I just think the man wanted his cake and eat it. At the time he's actually seeing this other woman, he's been told his wife's pregnant. His wife has told him. So what? Your wife tells you she's pregnant and then you immediately go and have an affair. He did kill the children and he did put them in these oil containers at these temperatures and chemicals in them. So basically, within a few weeks disintegrated the bodies, and then no one would have known where the bodies were. So that's something else. It's just like if the man, what did he do? He told his mother, I couldn't bury the children with her, but surely he would have buried them, because them dissolving in these vats of oil, he would have had nothing to go and visit. So they would have been completely gone in mind, spirit, body. So you can see how he felt about them then. He obviously had no respect for his children to do that. And he didn't want any evidence. And this is what I think happened with Shanann when he killed her. The timing. He didn't have enough time to sort things out. He didn't have enough time to finish his plan. You imagine, it's all happened, everybody's dead. We'll take it that he killed them on that morning, although I'm not sure. No one knows the truth yet, do we? We'll have to wait till next week, but he had taken them all and just buried them quickly, and he's still, still carrying on an affair. And what it was is he dealt with the children, but you would have found that within a day or two he would have gone back and dealt with Shanann. He just obviously couldn't do it all in one go. But to go to work that day and no one notice anything has changed in him, it's quite incredible, isn't it? And he was still talking to this woman, his girlfriend. Oh my goodness, I just think he wanted his cake and eat it. And he was. He was getting everything he wanted. He wanted a wife and a child, and he wanted a mistress. He wanted a girlfriend. And then suddenly it all just went wrong for some reason. But the thing I wish that Chris Watts' mum realised was, we all have those feelings sometimes. When I had children, so I think, I'm going to kill them. But something in you doesn't, and you stop. But something in Chris Watts didn't stop. And as we know, he's a liar. He's also lied to his parents, and his parents love him. So it's very sad even for them, because they are now manipulated in it. They have been slightly used by him also lying. But the thing is, they're not going to take any notice of Chris Watts' mum. They're not. So she's got no power. She could go, I've got a solicitor outside the prison gates. I don't think they're going to let her in until after he's been sentenced. And it is really incredible. But again, the press, the press weren't asking, what do you feel for the world? Even when they were asking Chris Watts, remember that. They weren't saying, for the whole world, what are your feelings for them? The press were asking them how they felt. So they're going to give their opinion, aren't they? And then don't forget, it's slightly tweaked here and there, and it can just look worse than it was. But I am really surprised that Chris Watts' parents don't act just devastated about the whole thing. Like, It's terrible. My son killed our daughter-in-law. Oh my God, the grandchildren, the baby. And then she could have said, it's terrible what he did. I do love my son, but, you know, whatever. But no, I love my son. Forget about the rest. And it's like, oh my God, so many lives wasted. This whole thing just doesn't add up. This whole thing doesn't add up. I don't get it. There's something missing. There's something wrong. There's something everywhere. But anyway, we only have to wait till Monday now and see what happens, whether he changes his plea or whatever. But I still think there's a surprise waiting to come. Maybe not that he's changing his plea. It may be that we do find out more about what happened to everybody. But there's going to be another shock, I think. This is why I wondered whether, you know, yeah, if he was rough sexually with this girlfriend. Maybe when Shanann Watts came home, he wanted some nookie and he got rough with her, and then he went, oh my God, I've killed her. But instead of stopping then, I just don't know what happened in his mind. But we stop. He obviously had, well, he had no conscience, did he? This is what I think, guys. When you break the golden rules of respect, you don't care about anybody else. You don't respect anybody else. And that looks like it's the truth, doesn't it? When you break the golden rules of respect, you know, treat others as you wish to be treated. Well, Chris Watts was a very, very... He obviously... this is what I think. I think it's right. I think Shanann was maybe a bundle of nerves when he met her. She wasn't feeling very good about herself and her lupus, and she met him at a very low time in her life. And he looked the rock and all that, but really he had control on her in some way. And now, a few months ago, when she was really getting her life together with her thrive, it wasn't that she didn't want a husband. I think she really loved him, but she was a bit more independent. She was talking to more people, she had more friends, the thrive thing kept happening, the trips away, and she was a tiny bit more independent from him. And then, of course, because, you know, just because someone isn't screaming and shouting doesn't mean that they're not the dominator. Someone could be the quietest one of the two. Doesn't mean that they don't do things quietly and are still dominating and directing from being a more quiet person, because that does happen. Just because he looked quiet doesn't mean he didn't keep planting the seeds and dropping hints and all that kind of stuff, and then making her, because she was sensitive, and making her think and feel differently than she had to because he was in control. So maybe it was it. She was becoming a bit more independent. I mean, one of the videos, you can almost see her saying, well, people around here don't care, I'm moving on, no one's going to stop. So really, she was saying things, but if you were just her friends and that, you might not have noticed it at the time, because everybody thought that her and Chris Watts were the perfect couple. But behind the scenes, obviously they were arguing and so forth, or things were going on. But, you know, like I say, when someone's having an affair and lying and cheating on you, it's never going to be fair, is it? It's not like that person's being loyal or they're hiding, withholding, to do all that. So I still can't believe people who are really blaming her and saying that because she maybe had been a bit bossy, that she deserved all this, because she didn't. And if he was a man and he felt like he did, he should have packed his bags and gone. What did he do? He killed everybody. And then look how he disposed of them. I just think some of that was because he didn't have enough time. But I mean, and what a waste of his own life. At the least, he's going to get life in prison. And on come Monday, if he decides to change his plea, then they'll put the death penalty back on, won't they? So, either way, what a waste of Shanann, her 2 children and that baby, and his own life. Before in my last video, he's the same age as my son, my eldest son. Imagine my eldest son now going to prison for the rest of his life. Anyway, I'm not responsible, the mother's not responsible, and the mother's a bit late. But they were just asking her opinions. But again, so devoid from reality, like, oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll just have to wait till Monday, but I think that Chris Watts wanted his cake and eat it. It didn't happen in the end for him, did it? And it all came back on his face. But I just don't think he had enough time to dispose of the bodies. If he'd had a couple of more days, he might have got away with it. Anyway, thanks very much for listening.